Hi everyone. I thought I would just demonstrate a little taster video just for sort of roughly 10 minutes or so. I've got one on my drugs awareness taster, but also I thought it'd be quite good to have a taster video on something well-being related. And one of my favourite subjects is talking about the mind, the power of our mind and the mindset, also known as sort of PMA. Uh, what else is it? Cognitive behavioural therapy. It's super powerful stuff. You are what you think. So I just thought I'd show you. I will whiz through the slides because obviously this is just a free taster, so you can just see roughly what I cover. And hopefully you might want to actually buy the full version. So challenging negative thinking, I cover basically a little bit about statistics on the thoughts that we have, just to hopefully make people realise that it is super important and very powerful. Looking at what we call NATs, or negative automatic thoughts, and then looking at the CBT cycle. Okay, so like our thoughts will create a feeling or an emotion, which then will create what we call either behavior, or action, or something that we do. And they can be positive, they can also be negative. But the good thing is they can be changed if we're aware. Okay. And then that's really the whole point. It's about being really aware of our thoughts. And if we are aware, it's about going, hold up a minute, is that thought necessarily true? Because it isn't always. And if it isn't, we can challenge it, and ultimately it leads on to good outcomes. Who doesn't want a better outcome? So I always start off with this question. Yeah, how many thoughts do we have every day? And I won't give you the answer, but it's a lot. How many thoughts are negative? Again, a lot. Won't give you the answer because it's in the full webinar, but it's a lot. And actually, a lot of our thoughts, they're not always true. So I put some examples here because sometimes I say to people, well, right, think of a thought that you have. Now, that doesn't happen in seconds. People normally need a bit of time to process or have a good old think. And that's why I give examples on this screen, because it makes people think, oh, yeah, I think I'm rubbish at, might not necessarily be IT, but it might be something like sport or art. Okay. We all probably think we're rubbish at something. It doesn't always necessarily mean it's true. Thoughts aren't always facts. Then I give you a bit of background. CBT, I mean, it's amazing. I've studied it, I've had it. I just think I wish it was taught all over the world and from a young age, because to me it's like powerful stuff, and it can be used for any sort of limiting belief, really. So it doesn't have to be just about anxiety. It could be for, issues with your relationship with money. Do you know what I mean? It could be for anything. Then I have a look at what we call NATs. In the CBT world, these are called NATs, negative automatic thoughts. And we look at the different characteristics. So again, I won't go through it, but you can see we go through it as missing words. So I get people to write in the missing word, what they think it might be. Then we have a really good look at this, because this is really the foundation. You need to kind of understand how this cycle works before you can progress to other strategies, if you like. I normally give lots of examples of how it works. So, for example, like, if I think I'm rubbish at sport, then my feeling is I'm going to feel maybe really unfit. I'm going to feel fat. I'm going to feel isolated because no one wants to pick me for teams. I'm going to feel pretty rubbish. My behaviour as the result, I might get a note from my mum because I don't want to do PE. I might, yeah, pretend I'm not very well. I might avoid being with the crowd because I think, oh, I don't want people to be aware that I even exist that day because they're not going to choose me for the sport team anyway, you know, things like that. And you're probably not going to try. However, the great thing about this cycle is if you can manage to tweak the way you think, for example, instead of saying, I'm rubbish at sport, you could say, I acknowledge sport is not my strength. However, if I actually applied myself, maybe I would be better than what I was before. So it's not the best sport, but it's so much better than I'm rubbish at sport. Because actually, if you tweak the way you think, right? So changing the narrative even a little bit, when it goes down to how you feel and then your behavior, those they're going to be better. So when you said earlier, I'm rubbish at sport, you feel awful. You probably, from a 1 to 10, you probably feel 8 out of 10 really horrible. Whereas if you say, I acknowledge I'm not great at sport, however, maybe I should just try and see how it goes. You've gone from an 8 out of 10 feeling rubbish to like a 5. So it's not saying overnight you're going to be all of a sudden really happy, but it improves. And the more you practice, the more you can maneuver that for a little bit more. And then what happens, because it's like retraining your brain, what happens is then you get a better behavior. And then before you know it, you're the captain of that sports team, or you don't call in sick for those sports groups. Just saying. So I go through quite a few different examples with this, just because there's so many different things how it could help. So it could help with like, I'm not very good at blah, 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 but it could also help with, you know, you might think you're a really socially awkward person when you're not, you're just a bit quiet, you know, like, yeah, all sorts of stuff. So it's good to go through lots of different examples. And then worksheet wise, so when you buy my webinars, you always get at least one worksheet or at least one activity. So with this particular webinar, people will get a worksheet around what I call fort court. Take your fort to court. Oh, that's a bit of a mouthful though, isn't it? But it's really funny. It's like, you know, get that thought pop in your head. You know, no one's going to pick me for the sports team. Take it to court. Who says? You know, what's your evidence for that? What's your evidence against that? And then have a more rounded, nicer, kinder, more balanced thought. Again, anyone can learn all this. It just takes a little bit of practice. Then finally, just some words of wisdom, really. You know, it's thought, not a fact. It's about being mindful. You know, it's practice. And that really is what this webinar is about. I would encourage every person to do it. Even if you are on top of your game, do it anyway, because we should never become complacent. So hopefully you got a nice little taster there of what this session's about, and hopefully you are inspired to learn more.